A warm welcome, everyone. It's lovely to see so many of you here. I love being at WPP events. I have genuinely learned that this is where you dabble with the inconceivable. At the last one that I hosted, I moderated, one of the speakers there was flirting with the idea of pizza delivery by drone. How we all laughed then, patronizingly it turns out. Now, of course, Dodo Pizza in northern Russia has perfected the idea. They have what they call a working business model, which I'm told is about 6 pizzas per drone per hour. Even Domino's is working on the Domicopter now. Drocado will probably be next. So looking back, that pizza by drone seemed extraordinary some, I don't know, 20, 24 months ago. And now, of course, given what we've seen, given what we're all here to talk about today, I can't help thinking that the Internet of Things would probably intervene before you even dialed the Domicopter. The buzzer from your fridge would be reminding you that it had already pre-ordered that pizza and popped it in your freezer if you weren't too lazy to look, and your Fitbit would then nudge you to complain that you hadn't done the required number of steps to really deserve the pizza, so should it be coming to you, maybe that implant already under your skin connected to the doctor's surgery monitoring your cholesterol levels would immediately cancel the pizza on delivery because you didn't deserve bad carbs. Who knows? The point is, I guess, in my experience, just from being at these sort of events, I understand now that the incredible very quickly becomes the feasible. That much is clear. Technology can do all this. But the next question, and arguably the really big one for people outside this room, is do we want it? So are humans ready for it? Have we truly contemplated what it will do for us, what it will do for the labour market, for our interactions, for our privacy? What's that? For our society? And as we've seen, some of those numbers, when you look at the area of technology, are, quite frankly, absurd already. You know, you look at the latest report from Cisco and it puts the number of devices connected to the Internet of Things at, what, 15 billion today, heading to rise to 50 billion in 2020, which is less than 5 years away. So if the trend is already happening, what we have to decide now is how we do it, how it is done, whether we do it responsibly, whether we do it elegantly, whether it becomes smart, sophisticated, or whether it becomes stalker, spooky. And I guess how you interpret that and how you see that will have as much to do with your age and your generation as anything else. But today I think promises to be really exciting as we start to explore those issues. We've got speakers who are right at the heart of both the technology and of those issues. It will be a whistle-stop tour. I'm warning you, we have so much to cram in to a short afternoon. I will remind those on stage to stick as closely as they can to timings. We've got 4 panel discussions. We'll be looking at shopper insight, entrepreneurs and acceleration, robotics and intelligent machines, and the 4th on radical retail and what's really going to change. And of course, I invite you all to dive in, question the panelists, and make those sessions as relevant to you as we can. We've got roving mics. But we start today from thoughts from David Roth, the CEO of the stall for WPP, and he's looking at retailing to the customer of one in the IoT age. A warm welcome for David Roth. David, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Emily. It's very nice to be with you. I'm David Roth from WPP, and on behalf of everybody at WPP, I'd like to extend a very, very warm welcome. One of the things that I suppose we at WPP do reasonably well is we've got a lot of companies. And with that spread of companies also comes a lot of expertise. And you're going to hear today from a number of cutting-edge experts across the group, across the disciplines, all who have both an interest, a passion, and an understanding of where the IoT is going to go and what implications it has for us as both marketeers and also us as communicators as well. The 15th of April, 1865 at 9:30 p.m., Lincoln was shot. And this is the letter that was sent the next day when he died to the UK. It took 11 days to get from America to England. intervening period, nobody knew in England that Lincoln had been shot. The S&P 500, in 1920s, the average life of a company in the S&P 500 was 67 years. Today, the average life is just 15 years. This year was the 10th anniversary of the Brands E Top 100 Most Valuable Global Brands. And even if you have a look over that 10-year period, 42 brands exited the top 100 over that period, never to be seen back in there again. Apple's a really interesting example. 10 years ago, when the Brands E Top 100 Most Valuable Global Brands was started, Apple wasn't even in the top 10. It was actually number 16. This year, it's the number 1 by an astonishing margin. Things are accelerating at an amazing pace, and just when we think we've understood one wave, another wave comes with another perspective and a new way that we can talk to our consumers, have a relationship with them, and build brands. As Emily said a couple of years ago, when some of you were in this very room, we talked about the future of retail. We had drones flying around. We had a whole series of innovative things, which even we at that time thought would take a little while to become established. And as you all know, a lot of that type of technology now is being deployed very much commercially. So there is an absolute sort of meteoric speed of change which all of us has to grapple with and deal with. And because of that, together with a whole series of social change, economic model change, retailing per se is very much in a state of flux. There isn't a retailer on the planet that isn't worried about what the future is going to bring. And I'd say also there isn't a brand owner in that context that also isn't worried about what the future is going to bring as well. And maybe it's not just flux, maybe it's also a state of chaos. And I hope during the course of this afternoon we will be exposing some thoughts to you which will help make your views and perspectives of what may happen, the speed at which it may well happen as well, make it more understandable for you. Andy Grove, one of, I suppose, the three amigos who created and founded Intel, who has impacted every single one of our lives in the way in which he has and Intel have transformed technology. He had this wonderful sort of notion of an inflection point, a point in either technology, in man's evolution, in society, where things start to change. And we are at that red dot at the moment. We are at an amazing inflection point. And the issue with inflection points are both very positive and deeply worrying, because if you have a look at all the inflection points over the course of the last maybe 100 years, unassailable leadership positions tend to get usurped in an inflection point time. Now, let's sort of cast our minds back a little bit. We used to, sort of post-industrial revolution, I suppose, live in a motor world, where motors were created and then suddenly completely disappeared. We stopped noticing them. The same actually happened with the chip world. They were relatively visible. Now they're completely invisible, but they play an integral part in our lives. So for the next afternoon, I would very much like you to imagine a world where every single object will be smart and will be interconnected. And that's either very liberating or phenomenally scary. So let me introduce you to an object. And this object here is a gumball. It dispenses M&Ms. And I took this gumball apart and made the gumball smart. I put a little processor in it and created a little app. So if we could, Alex, just switch over to the HDMI lead here. and create a little game. So Google, in the Brandsy Top 100 Most Valuable Global Brands, do you think its value increased or decreased this year? Any? Increased, okay, so let's press higher. Okay. IBM, higher or lower, do you think? Lower. There we are, thank you. Well, you got that one right. Okay. Intel, that's a tricky one. Intel, higher or lower? Higher, okay. Oh, and some more gumballs, okay. It's become relatively easy. I have to say, I spent quite a lot of evenings with a soldering iron and trying to remember my A-level, both physics and electronics, to actually make all that work. And we're going to come back at the end of the day and give you a solution to the trickiness of trying to do that. But every single item has now the capacity to be made smart and to interact with it in different ways. So we are going to be living now, not just in a motor world, invisible, in a chip world, invisible, but also in a sensor world. And I think you should also think about this. Today, the content on the internet is produced and consumed by people. I mean, we do it every day. Hopefully, you're going to do some tweeting. That's going to generate some content. We're going to put some videos after today on the web. That's going to create some content on YouTube. But most of that content has been created by us. But we're going to be moving into a world, tomorrow's world, where the majority of content is going to be produced and consumed by machines that will be communicating between themselves without any human interaction. And that's going to be the next wave, in a sense, of the amount of information and data that we have to play with. There are going to be a number of figures bandied about today, all of them right, all of them wrong in a sense, but they all have the same direction. So 4.9 billion devices as part of the IoT today. By 2020, maybe 200 billion connected things. And if you look at that in a slightly different way, all those things that could be connected, like my gumball in a sense, at the moment just 0.06% of the things that could be connected are currently connected. And you start to see the scale of change that's going to happen in the next few years. It very much will be, in a sense, the internet of everything, or put another way, it's what life is going to be like, for good or for bad. Now, it's going to impact a number of areas in our business lives: supply chain, asset utilization, innovation, and productivity. The biggest impact it's going to have is about customer experience. That's going to be the biggest usage of the Internet of Things, the data that comes out of it, the interaction around of it, and clearly it has a big impact on all of us. We created this history of retail in 100 objects, and one of the things that that book really did pinpoint was that retailers across history have been at the forefront of all technological innovations. The technological innovations that allow people to create large glass plate. Retailers were the first to use that for windows. The technology that allowed people to create escalators. Retailers were there to put it into their stores to create theatre. And retailers are going to be the people that will seize on the power and the opportunities presented by the Internet of Things. And that's going to involve both the retailer and the brand owner as well. So we are in an age of retailing very much at the interconnection of all of these things, the triangulation of really getting to that customer of one. And that customer of one, in a sense, is something that we've all yearned for. And now, I suppose, like the Chinese curse, be careful what you wish for. We can do this, but we have to take a tremendous amount of care, because we can, at the moment, and it's going to get easier and easier, seamlessly track the consumer right across their path to purchase, presenting them context-sensitive messages at the right time, location-based and insight-driven. We are at the cusp of that. But the journey is going to be very, very interesting indeed. So in-store sensors and machine learning as well. Segmenting to, in a sense, from, I suppose, segments of one to very much the customer of one. And the ability for the data and all that's going to give us to reside in the cloud, to know and very much to learn as well. Our data is going to have a secret life. It will be doing things on our behalf without us knowing it. Spooky, maybe. Liberating, maybe. Scary, maybe. But it's definitely going to happen. We're also moving to an age of machine learning. Now, Google bought a company about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, called DeepMinds for the usual Google gazillions of pounds. And they very much are at the forefront, DeepMinds, of the whole notion of machine learning. Machine learning is, in a sense, very different to where computers and technologies have been in the past. With computers and technology and programming, we, as humans, programmed the computer to do the things that we wanted to do, to work in particular ways, to understand things in particular ways. But with machine learning, the computer itself is understanding what's going on and making various different judgments as well. So I want to show you a short little video from DeepMinds about how they taught the computer to play video games. Now remember, the computer doesn't know this game, it's never played the game before, it's not being told how to play the game, it's not given the rules at all. It's just some very clever algorithms about how machines can learn. So if we can roll this video. And we can't. We'll see if we can come back to that. Okay, so we're going to have a whole series of data values exchanges with consumers in the way in which they work. And clearly what we also need to do is start to digitize the physical assets and unlocking all that unused capacity and starting to monetize that. Think about it, in a sense, that's what Airbnb has done. That's what Uber has done. It's digitized some assets, it's unlocked its unused capacity, and created a hell of a lot of value in actually monetizing it as well. We're all going to have to create and develop new and very compelling partnerships. And we have a book for you, which we'll give you on your way out, that's sort of physically on your way out as opposed to metaphorically on your way out, and which is all about the second era of digital retailing, an analysis of, in a sense, how we are going to use quite a lot of this technology. Now, it's not retailing, just retailing, that's going to be using all of the various different new technologies and developments. It's going to happen everywhere, and it's all going to be connected. So I want to give you just one example of the connected car. So currently, there are 369 companies who have raised a staggering $3.15 billion US just to look at how cars and automotive technology can be connected. And they're looking in and stripping it down in all sorts of different ways: infotainment, car sharing, fleet management, intelligent transit, telematics, etc., etc., etc. And this is going to be happening in every single aspect of industry, of business, of commerce, of technology, of our relationship with our consumers as well. And there's more, because in a sense the internet has impacted all of our senses except the sense of smell. And we're going to demonstrate to you outside a new technology which is about how actually smell can now be used and transmitted through the Internet of Things as well. And that demonstration is outside. So just want to show you this, because I can't... oops.
These are the mysterious powers of smell, and its importance in love, friendship, and food. The scent of smell is the most powerful, memorable sense that we have.
I'm not doing well with live demos at the moment. Let's just try it. Okay. Okay, so you've never seen one of these before. This is a new generation of smartphones that actually has a projector in the smartphone. Now, when you start to think about how this type of technology can be used, you can imagine wandering around the street with your Google Maps, the street on and actually giving directions as well. Okay? So we're going to see more and more of this type of integrated technology. Thank you very much, Keith, for lending me your baby. I said there's more, so this is the last bit in a sense. The rise of the seeing robot. Now, we've been playing around with robotics. Our first outing with our robot was at the Brandsy Top 100 Most Valuable Chinese Brands launch, where Rosie the robot actually gave four charts in the presentation to our journalists. The second outing was at South by Southwest in a slightly different garb and a slightly different format, where we were talking about how robotic technologies would be used in stores. The last outing was at NASDAQ when we did the closing bell ceremony. No WPP presentation would be complete without a picture of Martin. So I thought I'd get it over and done with very early in the afternoon. So I'd like to introduce you to Rosie. So Rosie is our Brandsy robot. So Rosie, hi. Now, Rosie can see me. I suppose this is the difference. This is the change that we're going to have. Rosie now has the ability to see in 3D and 3 dimensions and to understand who I am. Rosie can also, if we can switch to the HDMI output, which we are, okay. So Rosie has the capacity to be able to see things. Okay, so what is this? Can Rosie see what it is? Okay. So it's an Intel Basis watch. Now just think in a sense, so it knows what I'm wearing, it can start to give me various different other suggestions about what other things I should have with my watch. And Rosie also has the capacity now to be able to understand whether I'm happy, or whether I'm very sad and extremely miserable. Thank you very much, Rosie. So I suppose we're at that next point in our journey, our inflection point. 89% of companies using the IoT in some way in the course of the next 3 years. It's going to be an unbelievably challenging journey. It's not without a phenomenal amount of risks, and it's certainly not simple, as you saw in terms of getting some of this technology to actually work. And we have joined together with our partners on this project, with Intel, and worked together with some very clever people from the UAL Futures. And we created a competition. You'll be able to see some of the output of all of that, which is, how do you pull together some of these strands? Because actually, the people who really get it and people who really understand it are the next wave of digital natives and the people who are being able to mold both sort of technology, materials together. So I urge you to have a look at that as well. There's clearly going to be huge amounts of privacy issues. It's fundamentally going to challenge the way in which all of our organizations actually work and operate, and the relationships that we have with our consumers. It is going to be about the way in which art and creativity meets industry and technology. Many of the key issues are going to be very much strategically based and culturally based within our organizations, and that itself is going to provide very provocative for us. Liberating or spooky? Well, I hope by the end of today you'll have a slightly firmer view in your mind as to which end of the spectrum all this is going to end up. Improving the quality of our lives? Potentially, yes. Fundamentally, I believe, challenging retail, where it currently is today and where it's going to be over the course of the next few years' time. And again, you'll hear from a whole series of different perspectives this afternoon on where that journey may or may not end up in. One thing that is absolutely crystal clear in the journey of IoT, technology, retail, understanding our consumers and our changing consumers is the future is not what it used to be. Thanks very much indeed.